The phrase Tikkun Olam has a really interesting history. It's first mentioned in the Mishnah, which was written around 200 of the Common Era, so nearly 2,000 years ago. And Tikkun Olam means repairing the world. But in its original usage, what it meant was a legal term, to help society function properly. We would have to change the law, mipnei tikkun ha'olam, for the sake of the repair of the world. So in other words, Tikkun Olam, repairing the world, meant helping make sure the law was fair and sensible. As the Aleinu prayer gained prominence in the service, in the prayer service, the phrase Tikkun Olam came more to the mouths of the Jewish community. Because in the second paragraph of Aleinu, it talks about L'taken Olam b'malchut Shaddai, to bring the world together under the rulership of God. So Tikkun Olam moved from a phrase meaning helping make the law fair and sensible to helping bring people together religiously. Moses Maimonides from the Middle Ages adds to this, holds them together and adds to this. He says, through wisdom, which is represented by Torah, and through the elevation of character, which is represented by acts of kindness, and through observing Torah's commandments, which are represented by the sacrifices, one continuously brings Tikkun Olam, improvement of the world, and the ordering of reality. So Maimonides takes these two concepts that came before him and says the idea of Tikkun Olam is making the world better. And he says we can do that through study, we can do that through making ourselves better, through acts of loving kindness, and through mitzvot. Isaac Luria, the Kabbalist, added another aspect of Tikkun Olam. He said in his cosmology that there was, at the very beginning of creation, a supernal light, an original pure light that was so pure that it was contained in vessels that weren't able to hold its purity. And so the vessels broke and the light scattered throughout all of creation. And so according to Isaac Luria, our role as Jews is to elevate that light, to bring it back to its original source, returning the light. So repair of the world, Tikkun Olam, means taking the light that is in creation and bringing it back to its original source. And that's done specifically through mitzvot. So the example I always give is if you're going to eat an apple. The apple has some of the original creation light in it. How do we return that light to its original source? By saying the blessing over it. Borei pari ha'etz, thanking God who brings forth the fruit from the tree. As soon as we say that blessing, we have elevated the light and returned it to its source, and then we immediately eat the apple. It was in the 1950s that the phrase Tikkun Olam changed again, and really became focused on social justice and social action. And that particularly came from reform camps, summer camps, and the idea of bringing young people together to help them improve the world. So you can see that over 2 millennia, the phrase Tikkun Olam has really changed quite dramatically. And yet, it's always had a similar idea of making the world better, however we understand that. In our community, social justice and social action have often gone hand in hand. There have been a number of times we've had a social justice director, social justice coordinator, and they have often engaged in not just social justice, but also social action. We've decided, after talking to many members, we've decided to rename this work as Tikkun Olam, as making the world a better place. Because Tikkun Olam covers social justice and social action. By talking to our members, including some people who were on previous social justice committees, members who are committed to different causes, and indeed talking to a couple of the previous social justice directors, we've come up with 9 different areas of Tikkun Olam. 9 different ways that we believe that we can make a difference in this world. And I'm going to read out these 9 different areas. And the hope is that as I share this list, you think, oh, that one really interests me. And I'll explain why in a moment. Refugee and migrant support, food and housing insecurity, mental health, political action, gun violence prevention, reproductive rights, environmental sustainability and climate justice, inclusion, diversity, equity, accessibility and affirmation, and LGBTQ+. If any of those, if you hear them and think, oh, I think this is really important for our community to address, we need you to come and join us this Sunday morning between 10 and 11:30, because we need your ideas. We're not looking for huge commitments or anything like that. What we're looking for are ideas. How can we, Temple Beth Shalom, best serve the local, national, global community in these differing areas? Refugee and migrant support, food and housing insecurity, mental health, political action, gun violence prevention, reproductive rights, environmental sustainability and climate justice, inclusion, diversity, equity, accessibility and affirmation, and LGBTQ+. We need your ideas. And this Sunday, this is the meeting. If you turn around later and say, oh, I have some ideas about how to do this, we may have already started planning other things. So please join us this Sunday between 10 and 11:30 for your ideas on how to help with these areas. Also, Sunday evening, afternoon evening, at 5 o'clock, we have our Yom HaShoah commemoration. And that is a cross-communal endeavor from a number of different communities in Santa Fe, gathering at Temple Beth Shalom, as we did years ago before COVID. A very powerful, very moving, very important ceremony to commemorate the Holocaust and Yom HaShoah. Before that, things on Shabbat. My mistake, we sent out in the e-digest, we sent out a thing saying Aaron was leading this evening's service. My apologies, it's totally my mistake. I'm meant to be leading this evening's service, and it's a reflective and meditative service this evening. The reflective and meditative service happens once every few months. It's a much calmer, much quieter service. There's no instrumentation. We still pray the liturgy, but we pray only select parts of it and really slow down. And we have readings, thoughts, meditations in between. I find it extremely helpful, relaxing, a different way of addressing prayer. So I encourage you to join me this evening for our reflective and meditative service. Tomorrow morning, because Cantor Liana and I are away at the religious school retreat, there is no Torah study. And the morning service, if you need an in-person morning service, please join Hamakom in our upper sanctuary. So please join us. Join me this evening for our reflective and meditative service. Join us on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. With your ideas on all of these areas of social justice and social action. And please also join us this Sunday afternoon, evening at 5 o'clock for our Yom HaShoah commemoration. I hope to see you soon, and I wish you Shabbat Shalom.